Hello, I'm Reverend Rick, and it is my honor to be with you today. We really hope that this video is a blessing to you. And if it is, please consider making a donation. People watch our videos locally when they cannot necessarily come to church throughout the United States and the world. So please join us and click the link below and make a donation. Thank you, and let this be a blessing to you.
Let us prepare ourselves as you put your hand over your eyes. I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today.
I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today.
Over your ears, I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today.
I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today.
Now cover your heart. Just extend out your arms. I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today.
I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today.
The spiritual truth that I'm working with is that life was not designed to be hard. Life was not designed to be hard. We make it hard. We work really hard to make it hard. But that's not the design. And there are some clues on the planet to help us get in ease with the spiritual principle, with the stream of life. Instead of swimming upstream, we can learn how to swim downstream. We're in the second week of a little 2-week series taking a new thought look at an ancient wisdom. The ancient wisdom is the 10 Commandments. Now, if you were not here last week, know that we reminded ourselves that the 10 Commandments are never meant to be external rules to threaten us into submission. They were never meant to be rules that would try and make us behave in a certain way that would help somebody else, whether it's a parent, a teacher, the laws of the land. They're not meant to make us behave in a certain way. They're meant to be spiritual principles that, if followed and kept, if learned and kept and practiced, can allow us to have an easier way of life. Can help us stop making life so hard for ourselves. To allow us to live an easier life that's filled with joy, with connection, deep connection with one another, and deep connection with the Spirit that is within us, deep connection with our abundance. That's what the point of the 10 Commandments are. Now, as we said last week, 10 Commandments were given to Moses by God for one reason only. Moses went to a quiet place. He asked and he received. Moses went to a quiet place. He asked and he received. You and I can do the same thing every single day. Go to a quiet place and ask. Now the question is, when we receive the whole download. We don't editorialize. Well, I like that. No. We ask, we receive in our life. Now, was there anything else needed? No, absolutely nothing else. I will say that Moses had the extra benefit of humility. He had the extra benefit of humility, and it's easier, I don't know about you, but for me, it's easier to receive and to ask if I am in a humble place. Moses was his back was against the wall. He needed help. His people were out of control. His life was out of control. I don't know about you, but when my life has been out of control, that's when I go to God, help me, please. Now, do I listen and receive? Not always. But I always go and say, please, help me if you can here. How many of us in this room are trying to run the show all by ourselves? We haven't gotten that. You know, raise your hand. Because those of you who are sitting on your hands, I'm not buying it either. All of us have that, where we're trying to control some aspect of our life, in our life. You know, we haven't developed the consciousness of the woman who, when she woke up, she said, thank you, God. Thank you for the patience in dealing with my children. Thank you, God, for the abundance that allows me to have food on my table and gas in my tank. Thank you, God, for helping me make decisions to eat only nourishing food, foods that nourish my body, not my emotions. Thank you, God. And in a moment, I'm going to get out of bed, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to need more help throughout the day. We need to be able to do that kind of consciousness in our lives. God is here for us 24/7, period. God is here for us 24/7. Our job is to recognize that God is here all of the time, everywhere that we are. It's those of you who have learned how to do spiritual mind treatment, it's one way to pray. It's our way to pray. It's what we teach in Foundations, be coming up this fall. Spiritual mind treatment will change your life if you learn it and you use it in your life. And the first step of that spiritual mind treatment, that affirmative prayer, is recognize God. It's the whole point of the whole thing. Recognize God in our life. You know, it's what St. Paul taught us when he said, pray without ceasing. What St. Paul was really saying is, recognize God without ceasing, everywhere. God is in your ex when co-parenting is difficult, and God is in your ex when he or she does something that is totally sweet for you. God is in your life when you have decided to stop smoking and you've made it without lighting up for 3 days. It is never a selfish dream. It is God trying to get out and play. The Muslims say God is closer than our very neck vein, that we are the hands and the feet and the arms and the legs of God. So we take these dreams that we think are our own dreams, but they're divine dreams. We think they're only going to bless us, but they're going to bless somebody. Every invention we have came from a dream that's blessing us. But it's not only that. It's fun. It's powerful. You know, I want to tell you that I had a dream. I wanted to take a paddleboard lesson, and I didn't want to do it by myself. And so I called up this company and I said, I want to take, the church is going to have our adventure ministry. We're going to go paddleboarding. And I thought, good, because I'll have somebody who will not be able to do it as well, just like me, and I won't feel so bad. That was my dream. Well, I couldn't go because I was in the sweat lodge yesterday. But I want to tell you, 7 people went. And when you're here at church, I have to get their permission. But when you're here at church, the guy was so impressed with the 7 people who went out on the river with him. The guy who did all the lessons, Rob, he fell so in love with 7 people who went from this church to learn paddleboarding that he made a video and put it to music. It's a great video, but I have to get their permission because it shows it all. But they had a great time. What did it come from? It came from a dream. These dreams are so important. Don't kill your dreams in your life. You have to allow yourself to dream. The last one I want to talk about today is thou shalt not, I saved it for the end, thou shalt not commit adultery. Now most of you have heard the old joke, Moses went up and he came back down and he said, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that they've taken it from 30 to 10. God took it down from 30 to 10. The bad news is he left adultery in. Like all of us, like all the commandments, this commandment is not about pleasing or displeasing an external God. It's about learning how to not make life so hard for ourselves. I don't know anybody in my circle who doesn't regret having broken their vows. It's sort of like people in recovery, we know what a geographic is. A geographic is where, your life is a big old hairy mess in one location, and instead of getting it fixed, you just take your big old hairy mess to another location. The problem is that everywhere you go, there you are, and so you're just repeating it over and over, all the geographics. Well, the same thing works with adultery, the same thing, and the same amount of success. When you're tempted, and I don't know anybody who's never been tempted in their life once they've been in your marriage could be fabulous, and you could still be a little tempted. Not that you're going to act on it, and not me, baby, all these other people. But you don't act on it, but you're tempted. Don't worry about that. We're not working dealing with that. But what we are dealing with is the activity of it. You know, whenever we go outside, you know, and sometimes relationships are simply complete. You know what I mean? They're simply complete. We're not talking about staying in a marriage that isn't the right place for you or your spouse to be. And I will just say this. Sometimes people say in marriages because they feel that they can't break somebody else's heart. Let me tell you that if you're not happy, they're not happy. And sometimes the moving out makes it difficult. We in this church, we want everybody to do everything possible to keep your marriage together. We want to help you do that. Our practitioners are here. I'm here. We want you to do everything possible. But if it's a time of completion, if you're grown in separate ways, be honest about it. Don't go out and find somebody else. Just be honest about where you are in that situation and let them know about that situation. And then move on in your life. You know, I love what, well, let me ask, so I have a little test. If just ask yourself, if you're in a relationship and somebody's looking really good over there, ask yourself these questions. Is the excitement in it gone? Do you feel like you're not cherished? Is communication stagnant? Has passion gone out of your relationship? Do you have resentments that aren't being dealt with? Or a common one I see in my office is we paid so much attention to our kids, we forgot about each other. Now look, I don't want to sound like Red Bull, but if you've answered yes to one or more of those questions, your commandment is in danger, okay, in your life. I love what George Bernard Shaw says about marriage. When two people are under the influence of the most violent, most insane, most elusive, and most transient of passions, they are required to swear that they will remain in that excitement, abnormal, and exhausting condition continuously until death do them part. Sometimes relationships, as you know, go into a period of no excitement, but if you're tempted to go somewhere else, deal with it. And it may be that it's time to be complete, but it may not. But the most important thing is don't go outside and try and find another thing. I know people, even in this church, who are really good friends with their exes, much better friends with their exes than they ever were as married partners. That's available to you as well, but it's rarely available to you if you've already gone out in an adulterous situation in your life. Well, those are the ones we're going to deal with today. But the most important thing about these commandments is to keep in mind they're there simply to help us make life less hard. Because life was never designed to be hard. Let's take this message in prayer. There's only one power. It's the power of love. And I give thanks to the great God for drawing us together in this community. I give thanks for all of the practitioners in this church who are ready to serve and to help. I just give thanks to the Board of Trustees for creating an atmosphere in which we can come and love and laugh and cry and play and learn and pray together. I give thanks. I release this word into law. Together we stand.